quite feel fair to me that only the big boys had this strategy, right? Coke has strategy, Pfizer has strategy. The little guy, the neighborhood shop, doesn't have tax strategy. Like, why? Why is that good, right?
On a scale of 1 to 10 stars, how do you rate some public tax preparation services?
The IRS has put out plain black and white, simple, yes, this is good, you can, we're totally approved. So writing off dogs, writing off kids, putting the kids on payroll is always a big one.
These are the 1,000 different strategies we could implement. Here's maybe what could apply to you.
We have to crawl into your mind and become you to be able to do our job well.
Hello, hello. Welcome back.
Hello. Good to see you again, as always.
Always great to see you too, Patna.
Partners.
Welcome. Patna. Welcome back, everyone, to Living Richly with Curo, episode number 45. We are so excited to have you back, and we are excited for another special guest that we have today. She is a tax goddess, so can't wait. Only people like us would get excited about talking with a tax goddess, I'm pretty sure. But
right.
I don't know. Actually, everybody loves saving money on taxes, so she's probably pretty popular.
Yeah, but nobody wants to actually talk about the taxes, though.
Right, that's true. But we do. We do. So we have Shauna on the podcast today. We will welcome her in here to the studio in a few minutes. As a reminder, if you are joining us again, or if you are just joining us for the first time, welcome. And we are here to inspire, educate, empower you on your financial journey. So that is what Atrisa and I are all about. My name is Anne. I am the CEO here at Curo Private Wealth, as well as a partner with Atrisa.
And I am Atrisa. I am COO and partner, and happy to have you join us today.
Yes, so happy. So let's do a quick A-team catch-up before we have Shauna in. What is new and exciting in your world, Atrisa?
Okay, so I know that I'm officially old. I reached old when I got so excited about my new bed.
Your new bed?
So I ordered a new bed.
Yay!
And it got
y'all, just a second. Okay, y'all, just time. She has been thinking, contemplating, talking about buying a new bed for months now. So
literally,
I am
months.
Literally months. I am so excited. Tell us more.
Thank you. So I'm very excited. It's beautiful. I never actually saw it in person, so I was nervous because I picked it just from an online. But it got delivered on Tuesday, and I am so happy with it. And I'm like, you are such an old lady that like a new bed just makes you super excited. But I got it from Crate and Barrel. Crate and Barrel, if you'd like to sponsor this episode, reach out.
There you go.
But yeah, it's perfect. It's got, storage on the side, so I can actually get rid of some drawers I have, which is, already hard with storage in an apartment. Everything's already too tight. So it's fantastic, but I absolutely love it. It made me very excited. So I figured I would share.
I am so excited. Thank you for sharing, because I feel like I'm invested in this bed purchase as well.
You should be. I want to have you over so you can you should sleep over so you can
Totally. I need to see this bed.
But listen,
my gosh.
So
the bed that finally captured your heart. It was hard to do.
So the issue is that I agonize over what my brain perceives as big purchases. Like not necessarily dollar amount, but like commitment, right? Like a bed is not something you're going to buy a lot of all the time, right? You can say, oh yeah, I kind of like these shoes, and you buy the shoes. They don't feel like a commitment. But any sort of things, especially like furniture that feel like a commitment, I agonize over those decisions. I do not know why. But finally, I pull the trigger. I'm happy. So it's done. No more talk from me about the shopping for the bed.
That's amazing. No, I totally understand though. I get analysis paralysis with just furniture. I mean, the sheer amount of options there are for everything furniture wise. I had the same trouble when I moved into my house, and I had my bed from my old place that I could bring over, but like dining table, oh my, it took me forever. I actually ended up hiring a designer for my dining room because I was like, I will never make a decision. I need you to take the 40 million options that I have, and I need you to put 3 in front of me. This is what I'm looking for, and I will make a decision, but I cannot go through 40 million options. I just will not make a decision. So,
Yeah, I'm the exact same way. So I use my sister that way.
yeah.
So she's like, just create a Pinterest board, share it with me, add some things you'll like, and then I'll tell you which 2 or 3 options to choose from. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
perfect.
No, I know. That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Way
that's just
cheaper
more
to
my
way
world.
cheaper to use your sister.
Yeah. I mean, but a designer will be nice to you. My sister will just yell at me for being
That's
indecisive.
true. Yeah. A designer, you're paying them, so they have to be nice to you.
Right. Anyway, so not
Uh,
not much exciting to report. And for those listeners from last week, I'm back from my investment conference trip. It was really, really nice out in Phoenix. So some good ideas we're coming back with. But other than that, that's it. What's up with you?
Nothing much. As you know, we have been holding a lot of clients' hands recently with all of the uncertainty and the transitions and the market volatility. So that is really what we've been doing. But we always say, our team as a team, we always say that this is when we shine, right? Like this is when it's so important to meet with the financial advisor, to have a great financial advisor so that we can have these conversations and really, help coach clients. So this is what we're here for. But it has been a lot. It's been a lot of conversations and a lot of helping people through
Yeah.
contingency planning and changes. So
Yeah, this is when you become more behavioral therapist than actually like investment advisor. And it's just
yes.
helping coach and guide and reassure and comfort. But yeah, no, it's been chaos the
Yeah.
last 2 weeks or so. So I
Yeah.
feel you.
Yeah, exactly. But I did come with some fun stats to share. March is Women's History Month. And so I thought I actually got a newsletter from Skim. They do a great job with their articles and newsletters, but they had a whole article recently about sort of misconceptions about women and then what the true numbers and the true stats are saying at this point. So I'm not going to share all of them, but I did pull out a few that I thought were super interesting that I wanted to share with you all. So one of the misconceptions about women is that we do not negotiate our salaries. And recent research that came out from Berkeley actually showed that more women are negotiating their salaries than men, to the
Ah,
tune, I know, to the tune of 54% of women negotiated their salaries versus 44% of men. So
oh,
there
that
you
is
have it.
fantastic.
I know. I was like, that's great. Okay, that was cool. Next one, there's a misconception about women not being in leadership. In 2025, we will have a record breaking 13 women serve as governors in the US. It's still not enough,
Yeah.
but it is 62% more female governors than we had 20 years ago. I would call that progress,
That's absolutely progress.
trending in the right
Yes.
direction. Yeah. Okay. And then the last thing that sometimes people say about women is we are too emotional and indecisive to run a business. Au contraire, mon frère. In 2024, there were over 14 million women owned businesses in the United States. 14 million.
Yeah.
That is
That
pretty
is,
incredible.
no, that's wonderful.
Yep. And we employ 12.2 million workers, 12.2 million,
Mhm.
and have generated $2.7 trillion in revenue.
Making
So
the world go round.
we are. So next time you hear, women don't run businesses or are too emotional to run businesses, you just bust out these stats.
Yeah, thanks
Like,
for sharing.
bing.
Those are really
Yeah.
cool.
Happy Women's History Month, everybody.
Yeah.
It's a great month.
Happy to celebrate and maybe make some history ourselves. Let's do
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. I am totally game.
Yeah.
Totally game. All right. So let's welcome our guest, Shauna, into the studio. All right.
Hello,
Hi,
ladies.
Shauna.
Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
Hello. Great. How are you?
Good, very good. It's definitely tax season, so things are hopping and rocking and rolling, all the good
I'm
bits.
sure.
I know. Thank you so much for joining us during tax season. We appreciate your time and we're so excited. We are like the biggest nerds, so we are super excited.
Even better. I love it.
I
Nerds are the best
know.
kind, so very cool.
Exactly. Super excited about this conversation. So if it's okay with you, Shauna, I just wanted to go over a couple of points from your bio and then we will get straight in. But this way, our listeners and viewers will know who we have the pleasure to speak with.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, awesome. So, as we mentioned earlier, Shauna is a tax goddess, which is amazing. She
Ooh.
is a certified public accountant or CPA and founded the Tax Goddess Business Services PC in 2004.
20 years,
So,
baby.
congratulations. I was going to say, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank
Decades.
you.
That's amazing. Yeah. So I am going to read, and we can get more into what a tax goddess and a tax strategist means. But basically, what you all do, and you have a team of over 90 people globally, but you help business owners, investors, and entrepreneurs create plans of action to increase the business owner's bottom line, reduce costs, and significantly reduce taxes, all above board, of course, and increase cash flow and perform lots of what if scenarios and options so the business owners can understand what is the best path forward and best decisions to make. Shauna is ranked in the top 1% of all the tax strategists in the entire United States, which is amazing. Congratulations on that. And you also do some nonprofit in your spare time. It looks like you have an affinity for animals. Am I right about
Just
that?
a bit. I got 5 dogs, and if I could have 50, I'd probably have 50. So, yes.
Oh my gosh. All right. Awesome. Well, that is enough of the formal introduction because we want to maximize our time speaking with you. But welcome again, Shauna, to Living Richly with Curo. We're so happy to have you.
Oh, well, thank you
Thanks
so much
for joining
having
us.
me. I was going to say, it's always exciting to be flanked by 2 lovely ladies. How do you not get happy about that? So, all the good bets.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you. I know. Ladies in finance, no less. So we are.
Cheers to that. That's the whole point. Smart ladies in finance, saving people money day in, day out. I'm on it. Let's go. So,
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh, there go the dogs.
I was just about to say, see, you heard me say their name, all the good bits. My favorite little tax deductions. What do we do? So,
Oh. All right,
Okay.
Teresa, you want to start us off with the
Sure.
first official question for
Anne
Shauna?
just shared some interesting facts about women business owners here in the US as we kick off Women's History Month here in March. But one of the first things we always like to ask our women business owners when they join us is to tell us about your entrepreneurial journey. What motivated you to start a business, and what, if any, challenges did you have along the way?
ooh. Well, that's a great question. Well, what motivated me to start a business? So I'm actually ex KPMG, so big accounting firm. But very long story short, for about 800 years of my family's history, we've all been small business owners. And, so I started my path in tax strategy. I've always been tax. I've always looked at that side of things. And it didn't quite feel fair to me that only the big boys had this strategy, right? Coke has strategy, Pfizer has strategy. The little guy in the neighborhood shop doesn't have tax strategy. Like, why? Why is that good, right? Definitely have that belief coming from the family that, the small business is the backbone of the country, right? So how do we get all the big boy benefits down to the little guy? And so 20 years ago, started Tax Goddess, and really ever since been looking at strategy for small. And now, of course, we do small and medium and large, and we do all the businesses, right? So challenges, I think, over 20 years, if you would ask me at different points in the career, it depends on the thing, right? Day one, when I hired my very first secretary, it's because I couldn't figure out how to change the ink in the fax machine. So that's the challenge. At this point now, with such a large team, it's management, it's work product, it's flow, making sure the quality stays high, those kinds of things. So really just depends when you're in business as to what stage of life are you in, and deciding where you want to be. Some people don't want 100 people on staff, right?
Right.
Some days I'm not even sure I want 100 people on staff. So, it really, really just depends on where you're at in the stage of life. So,
yeah, I bet you also have to deal with like time zone challenges now, having people all over the world, like, hey, Shauna, can we do a Teams meeting at 3 a.m.?
Mama's still asleep, so no. But yeah, no, actually, one of the easiest ways to overcome that, because you're right, our staff is in 20 different countries around the world. So one of the easiest ways we've been be able to overcome that has been setting a standard time zone for everyone. And so across the board, it doesn't matter which country you live in, what time zone you're in, we have mandatory overlap hours from 8 a.m. until 12 noon Arizona, which is our corporate headquarters. So that allows everybody to have meetings. They can work half of their day during their normal daytime, like whatever other flexible schedules, like whatever they need. But it allows all of us to be able to, if I need to meet with Anne or I need to meet with Tricia, they're here and I know they're here from these hours to these hours. It also quite helps our clients because, of course, we only do tax strategy for US taxpayers. So most of our clients are going to be in the 3 or 4 time zones that are US time zones. So,
right.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. That's awesome. That's a great idea. Okay. So before we get further into tax strategy, what the heck is tax strategy for starters? And how are you different from a CPA? Because you are a CPA, but you focus on tax strategy. So just let's make sure we level the playing field and everybody understands what we're talking about here.
You got it. And probably the easiest way for me to describe it, two ways. One, you can see CPA, MTax, CTC, CTP, right? So when you start seeing 50 million letters after somebody's name, there tends to be a lot more education, right? It kind of goes along with it. So really the way that I look at the difference, there's really 3 levels of CPAs. Okay. So you have CPAs, and I'm going to include at the basic level also tax preparers. So enrolled agents, somebody that's not a CPA, not an EA, but the neighbor next door that does a tax return. Their job is to take your numbers, whatever those numbers are for the year, take those numbers, put them on the tax return, check all the right boxes, make sure you don't go to jail, right? Report everything properly. That's kind of the basic level. Now, according to Google, there are 660,000 CPAs, not even including EAs or just Bob, the next door neighbor that does your tax return. So there's quite a few of that first level. Okay. The next level up is what we call tax planners. So when you hear a CPA say, I'm a tax planner, typically they're going to look at about 15 to 20 of what we call the baby strategies. So do you have a 401k plan? Did you buy a car through the business? Are your kids on payroll? These things that you see on YouTube and TikTok, and these are kind of like the basic kind of strategies that if you own a business and you're doing 150 to 250,000 a year, you might not just want the basic CPA. You might want a planner, right? But those typical 15 to 20 strategies handle most people up until they're taking home about $1 million, right? So the cutoff then happens when a strategist really kicks in. Is now you're making $1 million. You're paying 50%. If you're in California, 63% of your money to the government. You've already implemented a bunch of the baby strategies, right? The kids are on payroll. You bought the car. You don't need 6 cars. You've done all of the things. Strategists are now the top of the strategy food chain. There's only 607 of us that are certified as tax strategists in the entire country. So when you look at that group, and we're in the top 3, they refuse to tell us who's number 1, but I've met the other 2. So anyway, they refuse to tell us. But anyway, so the point of it is that tax strategists now start looking at what I would call the more outside the box kinds of strategies, right? The stuff that maybe could be a little bit higher on the aggression scale. Maybe they take a little bit more money to do, right? If you don't have at least 250,000 of cash, that strategy won't even apply to you. So they tend to be for larger businesses. When you get to that tax strategist level is really where, you've done all the things you can and you're still paying too much tax and you're not happy about it. So, the average tax rate, at least ours for Tax Goddess, I can't speak for anybody else. Our average tax rate as a tax strategist is 6.92% for our clients. So if you're paying, right, the eyebrows, love it, because yeah, if you're paying 63%, can we reduce it by 10 times? If we do it right, yeah. But it's a lot of work and it's a lot of planning. So that's also the other side to these kind of levels is I can tell you what to do, right? It's strategic tax coaching. I can tell you what to do, but if you don't do it, you're not going to save any money.
So to the point of saving money, you have saved taxpayers $1.73 billion with a B.
Billion with a B. And we just delivered a bunch of plans. We're almost close to 1.9 billion now.
Wow.
So yeah, tax season always bumps those numbers up because that's when we're delivering numbers, right? So yeah.
That is fantastic. So of course, we are planners, right? We think about the long-term view of financial planning. But how can these kinds of strategies help investors build long-term wealth and minimize liability and ensure financial freedom? All of the things we talk about as financial planners, how can these kinds of strategies help?
Absolutely. Well, what we tend to see in the very short term, and excuse me, ladies, I'm going to pick on us ladies here for a minute. Okay. What we tend to see is in the very short term, the wife wants a brand new remodeled kitchen. So the first year of savings goes to the kitchen, or the husband wants that new ATV, or like whatever, right? The first year of savings for many people, just being honest, tends to go buy all the stuff that they have been restricting themselves from for years because they didn't have the cash flow. Okay. Now, of course, we always caution, please, please, please put like 50% of your savings into retirement, into life insurance, into cash funds, like whatever, do some sort of savings. But you can only lead the horse to water, right? So now the good bit is that when you do a tax strategy, typically that same strategy can be used year over year over year over year over year. So the first year, maybe you've spent that money, but what about the money for the next year? Maybe you buy your first rental property. What about the money for the next year? Well, now maybe you expand your business operations by hiring a marketing agency. So the ability to you now have free cash to either put into retirement or expand your business or do whatever it is for you, for the taxpayer, that they think is the most important thing for them. So one of my favorite parts about what we do is the ability to give people freedom and flexibility, because when the government has your money, that's no longer your choice, right? When you have your money, you can do whatever you want to with it. So
yeah. That's awesome. Wow. So as we have already mentioned, Shauna, you have built quite the organization. You've got, people in 20 different countries. So how do you, number one, just manage it all, right? Manage the business and all the things you have going on. And then we would love to hear some of your top time management hacks or advice, because you have got to be not only a tax goddess, but a time management goddess with all the things you have going on.
You're so sweet. I love it.
Tell us your secrets.
Absolutely. Well, how do you manage it? You have to have a good team. I mean, period. You just cannot grow to that size. They say that a single individual can really only manage 5 to 7 max people, right? And so I'm very lucky, I suppose, if you call it that. We've built a really good organization. I've got great operations. I've got finance. I've got managers. I mean, you kind of have to at an organization of that size. Now, time management, I'm smiling because it's one of the things that we put into place with every new hire. The first one is time blocking. Every single minute of every single day has to be time blocked. And if it's not, your manager will ask you why it's not. What are you doing? What did you do instead? What's going on? Right. So we've built that into the culture here because that's how strongly I believe in it. And please don't laugh at me. It's the cutest thing, but I keep it on my desk, so I have to show you, ladies. It's a little timer clock, okay? And it's got a little alarm button thing. And
please don't show Anne this.
Do you? I love it. Okay.
Mine's not as cute as yours, but
I saw the rainbow and I was like, I'm done. Because I had one that was like yours and it was like a little white thing with a dial. I'm like, rainbow.
It's not the prettiest.
I love it.
Yeah.
You're going off. So
there you go.
Yeah, especially it's a great question, especially for right now. Again, it's the middle of tax season, right? So one of the things that I do to kind of trick my mind, and I teach my staff to trick your mind, is like, it's only another 15 minutes. Turn on the timer for 15 minutes, right? You'd be amazed at how much you can get done just by effectively tricking yourself. Like, it's only 15 minutes. I can answer those 10 emails. I can do this. I can do that, whatever. So yeah, I think a lot of it is focus, right? Removing distractions. You're right. My lovely little fuzzies decided to bark right in the middle. They were sleeping the whole morning besides that. But things like taking a break for 10 minutes, they love chasing tennis balls, throwing the tennis balls for 10 minutes, taking a mental break and coming back and then doing another 4 hours or whatever that is. It also puts them to sleep so they don't distract me when we're working. It's the little things. So environment, time blocking, timers, whatever it is that can help you. I guess when we meet new people, like new staff come on board, we try to give them 5, 6, 7 options, and then we follow up about a week out. So how's it working, right? Because for many people, they've never had time management as a part of their environment and culture. So
yeah, absolutely. No, time blocking is my love language, as
Yeah.
Teresa can
It's like, don't
attest.
give her any more ideas, please, Shauna.
the rainbow one is cute, right? I mean, like, how do you argue? So I love
Yeah,
it.
exactly. So before we move on to the next question, I just want to
Mhm.
double click a little bit. So you
Yeah.
mentioned the great team.
Yeah.
And I'm sure your process has evolved over the last 2 decades, but tell us a little bit more about how you pick team members, how you hire, how you decide like this is the right person for the team. I just love to dig in a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. So, certainly with our business, we have so many different divisions. Okay. And I think we have 13 departments. Each department kind of has their own subculture. Okay. So somebody for sales may not fit somebody for the tax team, right? It's two very different cultures. So one of the first things that we do is we use a program called Video Ask. And when, we need a new tax preparer, whatever the job role is, the person is required to actually answer on the fly. They have no idea what the questions are. The questions rotate. They have to answer on the fly on video so we can hear and see how do they react under stress? How do they react under pressure? How quick does their mind think when we ask a question, right? What's the response time? And then, of course, on top of that, well, what is the actual answer, right? Are they kind of bluffing or do they know their stuff or, that kind of thing? So that has helped us a ton because traditional interviewing methods, a lot of whether, like if I was interviewing, I may not pick up on all the things, right? So at a minimum, I suppose if we didn't have Video Ask, we would always go back to having a 2-person interview team because what I hear and what Ann hears and what Tricia hears, we're all going to hear different things. And do we like it or not? So that's something for sure. And then we also do a 30-day probation period because there are some people interview really well, but they can't really do the work. And other people interview terribly, right? But there's something you get the spark, you get the vibe, there's something where you're like, I just really like this person and I want to give them a shot. And so we'll give up to a 30-day probation period. And either we literally we use the term rock star inside Tax Goddess, either you're a rock star or you aren't. Because it's either, and please excuse the bad language, it's either a hell yes or a hell no. Like it's one of the two, there's nothing in between. And that saved us quite a lot of heartache over the years because, you find somebody and you think they're great and then they just, like you're just following up with them and you have to chase them and why?
We've never had that experience. I can't
No.
relate at
Never?
No,
all.
we
Not
can't relate to that. No.
Never. Lucky ladies. So yeah, it's probably one of the hardest things. Over the 20 years we've been in business, I stopped counting how many people we've hired and fired at about 800. So it's, in, out, you name it, different departments, goods, bads, and uglies, right? So the team that I'm with now, I guess that's the other side of it. The team itself holds accountability. So I may not see every single member in every single team, but the team does. And if one person in your sales team or one person in your tax team isn't doing their job, the rest of the team will kick them out. We don't want to pick up your work because you're dropping the ball. Go away, right? There's a fantastic, I know his name is Cujo, and my brain is dying right now. He is an ex-fighter pilot, and he does an amazing training program on accountability for teams. So if somebody out there is looking, your team is disjointed, they're not working together, they're playing the blame game, any of that jazz, we were lucky enough to run into Cujo a long time ago, and I have no doubt in my mind that pinned it down. So
Okay. All right. Yeah, we'll make sure to get a link to that, and we can
Sorry.
link his
My
program.
brain's
No,
dying,
no,
it
thank you
sorry.
happens.
for
It
sharing.
Of course,
happens.
yeah.
All good.
Yeah,
All
it
good. Yeah.
happens. I mean, as leaders, Ann and I mean, we say it's never happened, but we can absolutely relate. I tell people all the time, the hardest part of my job is not the stuff I do with clients, is being, or at least trying to be a good people manager. That's always the toughest part of every
100%.
Yeah.
day.
100%.
Yeah.
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 And so
Okay.
hire,
So
my only other
I'm
comment,
sorry, please.
no, hire the people that are good at that. Hire the
Yeah.
people managers, because I'm with you.
Yeah.
I am a technical brain. I'm a goddess for technical, right? I'm people manager, whole different issue. I'm a redhead, right? The patience does not go very long. So yeah, hire the people that are amazing at what they do and what you need them to do.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Okay, so we are in the heart of tax season. So do you have any, tips, common strategies that you might suggest to save people some money with their taxes?
I love it. Well, and of course, every strategy is dependent on who you are,
Right.
what you do, how you write off your money, all the things. It makes me smile because earlier I said my favorite little tax deduction, and I swear I saw an eyebrow raise going, wait, dogs
Yeah.
get tax
I
deductions,
was like,
right?
wait, you write your
What?
dogs off?
So we went, Tax Goddess went all digital now about 14 years ago. So right when Skype just came out, we went to pure digital. With that being said, of course, my dogs are in my home. I am in my home. The whole company, everybody works from home. I have clients that come to my home. I have vendors that come to my home. I have client documentation and servers at my home. And nobody is going to mess with, of the 5 dogs, I have 2 German Shepherds, a Conning Corso, and 2 smaller, cute kind of mutts. We'll call them cute mutts. But nobody is going to mess with 2 German Shepherds and a Conning
Oh
Corso
yeah,
at the
you've got
front window.
some serious dog power in there.
You got it.
Yeah.
And so the IRS, a lot of, when you talk about tax deductions in general for any business, for anything at all, rental properties, whatever, it's all about what is the business purpose, right? Why is it ordinary? Why is it necessary? And why is it reasonable? Okay. Now, I have had somebody kind of poke me going, well, 5 dogs? Do you really need 5 dogs for security? I'm like, maybe 3 that could pin somebody in a corner. I don't know, right? I mean, it's like a whole different conversation. But, and so if you have a reason for whatever that deduction is. So a lot of people, probably 10 years ago, there used to be quite a lot of confusion about, am I allowed to take a home office? People on the West Coast were, because everybody was remote. People on the East Coast were not, because everybody had to go to the office. The IRS has put out plain black and white, simple, yes, this is good, you can, we're totally approved. So writing off dogs, writing off kids, putting the kids on payroll is always a big one. You've got some of the more simple stuff that a lot of people will miss. So max funding your HSA. If you have a family business where there's no external employees, right? If you have a family business, setting up a MERP, a medical expense reimbursement program, especially as a lot of our parents are starting to age and they need more medical care, there's more medical expenses. Your business can actually pay for their medical expenses. You name it, there's probably a law for it. So I think the master's exemption is probably one of my favorites. It's probably one of the biggest bang for the bucks that nobody, for whatever reason, has heard of. So if I say the 2 words Augusta and masters, what do you guys think of?
Golf.
Of course, right? Very long story short, the senators and congresspeople that own homes in Augusta, Georgia, wrote a rule for themselves. Okay. And the one thing I love about being an American is that if there's a rule on the books, it applies to everybody, right? It's not just the congressman, whatever. They wrote a rule that said that any rental income that you receive on your primary home, on a second home, on a cabin, on an RV, on a boat, any of this kind of income that you've received for up to 14 days is non-taxable. Now, many people look at that and say, okay, well, I don't want to rent my home to strangers though, right? Like that, I've heard horror stories of people pulling copper tubing out of the walls and, this just isn't good. And I don't want to do that. Your business is considered, if you have an LLC, S Corp, C Corp partnership, right? Separate entity, your business is considered separate from you. So you are allowed to rent your home to anyone else, your business, for mastermind events, vendor meetings, client networking, whatever it is, some sort of business purpose, right? Up to 14 days a year. Now, the rent itself would be a deduction for the business. You'd pick it up as income, but you get that exemption. You get the master's exemption. So it wipes itself out. In New York right now, the highest rent I've seen in Manhattan was about $18,600 per event, and you're allowed to do 14 per year. So big dollars, and people just don't know how to implement it. A lot of CPAs will say that you can't do it. So if your CPA is one of the ones that's just a tax preparer CPA and you can't do that, go find a tax planner, go find a tax strategist, right? That's one of the big differences here. So
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we actually had a client who lived in Augusta, so I am familiar with that crazy.
That rule. I love it. Yeah.
When he told me, I was like, surely that's not right. He's like, I'm telling you, it's right.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
It is good stuff. So, Shauna, I actually heard you on another podcast tell the story about the adult performer. This was my favorite tax strategy story. So if you don't mind sharing it again, it's hilarious.
Of course. Well, very, very long story short. Okay. So obviously we already know adult performer in here. Okay? So let's go back to the definition. A deduction is something that is ordinary, necessary, and reasonable. Okay. Doesn't matter what business you're in. I mean, unless it's like an illegal trade, like drug trafficking, don't do that. But ordinary, necessary, and reasonable. Okay. Now picture an adult performer. Okay. She's on stage. She's doing her thing. Okay. She's making money. That's fine. She decides that she is going to go get some enhancements, some upper area enhancements. Okay. She goes back to work. Okay. Now she's making double the money, right? She has clear proof that her revenue beforehand was X amount, and now her revenue after is double, triple, whatever it is. Okay. She takes it as a deduction, the cost of the surgery. She takes it as a deduction on her tax return. The IRS tries to fight it and says, that's personal. That's not business. How is that business? The court case, the judge came back in court in front of the IRS and said, well, let me back up. Is it ordinary for a professional dancer to have some enhancements? Yes, absolutely standard in the industry. Is it necessary? Maybe not necessary, but did she make more money? And therefore, IRS, you got more money because she made more money? Was it reasonable? It wasn't like $1 million for gold plated, whatever. Like, no, totally reasonable. We're good. Okay. She won against the IRS for that. And it's probably, thank you, Anne, for bringing it up, because it's probably one of my favorite examples of ordinary, necessary, and reasonable, because it doesn't matter what industry you're in. It's all about for you, for what you do, ordinary, necessary, and reasonable. And so, bringing this back full circle to Women's Month, okay, you fine ladies are on camera, probably significantly a lot of the time, okay? For you, you may be considered paid actors, which means makeup, hair, nails, clothes, right, eyebrow.
Teresa, you have her attention.
Hi, okay. You have to be able to prove that you made money because of the way you look. Right. And I always use myself as the alternative example. I'm like, I'm a CPA. Nobody cares if we look like schlep, like whatever, right? Like, just do you know the numbers? Do you know how to do it? Like, we're good. Right. So, but yeah, especially for people like speakers, if you're traveling, if you're on stage, I'll give you a perfect example. I was in California speaking at the end of last year. The heel on my shoe came off as I was on stage. And I'm like, well, I'm going to buy me a new pair of shoes because I can't be flopping around on like that. Doesn't work.
Yeah.
And so that's a business deduction for me versus if I was at home and I just wanted a new pair of shoes. Well, no, why? Like, why would that be ordinary, necessary, and reasonable? I couldn't go on stage the next day with floppy shoes. It doesn't work.
Right.
So,
yeah. This is also why I know that you all, as part of your process, spend a lot of time at the beginning, like asking a lot of questions and making sure you're doing really thorough data gathering so that you can start thinking about, okay, these are the 1,000 different strategies we could implement. Here's maybe what could apply to you.
And this is, I'll be honest with you, that's what frustrates people, because when they go to a regular CPA, they say, great, give me your documents, I'll get it done. Okay. You go to a planner, they're going to ask you 20, 30 questions. Great. Okay. Yeah, we could do this. We could look at a strategist, a good strategist. Our initial questionnaire is 900 lines. I want to know everything, all of it. I want to know where you spend your money. I want to know the color of your socks. I want to know about your dogs. Are they taller at their shoulder than the height of your knee? Like all the things, right? And we do that, and thank you, because if we don't, basically as a strategist, we have to crawl into your mind and become you to be able to do our job well, right?
Right. So. Yeah. Makes total sense.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I
I
know
love
we could
that.
keep you here all day.
She's like, I love it because I get to write off my makeup. Let's go.
I'm
I
like, I
know.
am a paid actress.
Yes.
Good job.
Teresa's Sephora line on her budget is robust.
I
So
love it. Hey, you know what? As long as you can justify it, because it's
Yeah.
all about what you want to do. Some people will take things super aggressive, right? I'm going to write off
Yeah.
every piece of clothing I buy. So really, you've got cameras on you when you're in bed in your pajamas, like
Right.
really,
Right.
like So it very much depends on what you want to do. We have other people that are really low on the aggression scale that are like, listen, the day before I get on stage, I'm whatever, if I got my makeup done, my hair done, like that, I'm going to write off. So it's
Mhm.
also about you as a person and where do you and your family, because it's your tax return that's signing up bottom line. Where do
Right.
you feel like you want to be? We call it the aggression scale, right? 0 to 10. 0 meaning the IRS never calls, never ever. 10 meaning we're all going to jail. So where do you want to sit on that scale? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, Shauna. Well, our last question, and we ask all of our guests this question, is what does living richly mean to you?
being able to do whatever I want whenever I want. It's all about
Love
freedom for me. All about
Yeah.
freedom and time. 100%. So,
Yeah. That's amazing. And that aligns very well with what you said is your favorite part of how you help clients. So
Yeah.
everything
Exactly.
is in alignment,
Harmony.
which is
We
a
love
beautiful
it.
thing.
Yeah.
Harmony.
We love it. Yay.
Exactly.
Great question.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, it's the name of our podcast. So we
gonna
love to
say.
hear
Mhm.
people's definitions of what that means to them. So, all right, Shauna. So before we let you go, I am going to make sure that we link your team gave us a special link to share with our listeners and our viewers that we will make sure to put in the show notes. So check that out if you would like to learn more about Shauna and her team and the Tax Goddess. Is there any other place that you would like to share with our viewers, listeners, of where they can find you? Are you on LinkedIn or Instagram or TikTok? Any other ways that they can find you all?
We are in all the places. I have a
All of
marketing
the
team,
above.
all of the above. What I would say, if you want strategies, but you're not ready for a strategist yet, the book that I wrote last July, 6% Life, this has
Ooh,
7 tax loopholes in it. So you can at
okay.
least, this is on Amazon. You can take a look at that. You can bring it to your CPA. And for me, it's really a question of if the CPA goes, absolutely not, or did the CPA, oh, that's really interesting. How that to me tells you whether you have a good CPA or a bad CPA, right? Like, should you run away or
Right.
what's going on? So if people are just looking for a little more like qualified CPA level, like the book has some great details in it. So
Awesome. Okay. So we'll make
Wonderful.
sure to link that as well. Thank you so much for sharing. So, Teresa, before we do some housekeeping, any
Mhm.
last minute questions or comments for Shauna?
No, you've done such a great job of giving us so much valuable information. But I will ask this one very quickly. On a scale of 1 to 10 stars, how do you rate some public tax preparation services that will remain
yes.
unnamed? But you can imagine the people where you can just walk in and get your taxes done. Just give us a rating.
you just want a rating, no explanation.
No explanation.
It's so hard, no explanation. The rate, I have to give at least a little caveat.
Okay. All
You
right.
can give a little.
You can give a
Caveat is
caveat.
it depends. Okay.
Okay.
Because if you're straight up 1040, maybe with a mortgage, they're fine. They're fine. 7, 8,
Yeah.
they're fine. Okay.
Okay.
If you have a small business that you've been running for 20 years and everything is the same every single year, they're probably okay. They're probably like a 5 or a 6. If you have anything different than the previous year or it's a little bit more complicated, like a 2. I mean, so to me, it really just depends on like what's happening in your life and what kind of guidance do you want. If all you want is get in, sign it, print it, send it, fine.
Yeah.
Okay. No,
That's
that's
helpful.
helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. And the explanation is helpful. We may or may not have had some clients with some questionable experiences recently.
We get a lot of clients that call us and like, hey, can you just review the last couple of years? Because I feel like something's wrong. And
Yeah.
generally, when you feel that something is wrong, something is wrong. right?
Yeah.
Right.
So it's always worthwhile, whether you're coming to a strategist or just a different CPA, whatever. It's always worthwhile to ask a new person, can you just look at the last couple of years, just
Mhm.
eyeball it, don't spend a bunch of time, but just like eyeball it and see if anything's weird. Because some of the stuff
Right.
I've caught, I'm like, how do they even still have licenses? Like, I don't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well,
Good
thank you so
advice.
much for that. We appreciate it.
awesome. Thank you so much
Yes.
for
All
having
right,
me.
Shauna, thank you. This has been great. And thanks to all of our viewers, listeners for tuning in. Please subscribe so you are aware every time we drop a new episode, which is every Friday. Do the likes, do the stars. We'll share all of Shauna's contact information, but we will see you here again next week. And until then,
Live richly.